So the reason that I'm up here is that actually pretty much on time, allowing for the slippage at the beginning. We are on time to start the next session, which is a series of 4 or 5 shorter, crisper, but no less excellent talks on various bits and pieces of what we've done recently, starting with Peter.
Good morning, everybody. I probably know by email 80% of you, and by in person I hope to learn more about and have conversations with many of you. So I will try and be shorter and crisper. I'd made this slide, it was loaded before, but if there is a message that I got from the very beginning from David and others, is that this entire enterprise is about increasing or improving human health, about accelerating progress in human health. It's not about bigger research, better research, faster research. Only we've succeeded if we make that first line. So when I show the mission, that's the first line I highlight. We've learned a lot in the last 2 years, and so I tend to use this slide to talk about the overall approach and that sense of interoperability. And just to echo Ewan's comments, we started off with standards and rigid and completely consistent, and we've learned more and more to think about frameworks and harmonizing and interoperability as an approach, and it's worked. There is a significant shift that we embraced earlier in the year and saw the need for it last year, which is to move from producing tools and solutions to actually looking at implementations, whether it's reference implementations in the data world or data sharing projects. And it's only by putting our tools into use that we learn to improve them and make them better for everyone else. So that sense of get them used, use and improve. And the other one that we've had with us from the beginning, we need to engage both the professional communities and also the public. And we haven't talked much here about the public, but clearly there is public awareness of genomic medicine, of genomic research, and we need to engage their trust and to keep that trust. And it's much more difficult to earn trust than it is to lose it. So we've got to be conscious of who we are and what we do. Organizational milestones, David mentioned them, but this thing really did start the first coming together, was 50 people from 8 countries in New York City. They said you were doing okay, go back, write the next iteration of that white paper, release it. We had 73 partner organizations stood with us when we released it just over 2 years ago. And then we've gone through a series of plenary meetings. Well, we had that first plenary meeting in San Diego, second plenary in San Diego. We also reached out to colleagues from Latin America and had about 15 of them working with us face-to-face, and we've had a series of connections before and since. We had a recent meeting in the UK with about 120 people represented from our 30-plus UK members. But what was important for me is also the foundation, the reach out through organizations like EBI and Elixir beyond the UK and thinking about Europe. And then we're here today, and as David said, 250-plus people. We, earlier in this year, developed a roadmap, and I've just listed here the objectives from that roadmap, and we put them into 3 broad buckets. And the first is about results, and this sense of develop the right products, or turn them into working solutions, make them available in a way that people can access, and drive those tools into demonstration projects. Second is relevance, and you're going to hear about some of that this afternoon. There are very significant events going on in both research and clinical practice. Make sure we're aligned with them, we understand them, and we're of relevance to them. And then the last one I'll pick up, and I think Ewan again said that, this issue of sustainability. This is a long haul, and we need to have that foundation both of resources and of people in order to be able to sustain this and refresh it over time. So operations and funding. From the beginning, the top 3 institutions have carried the heavy lifting of this. They've done it almost alone. And so the whole alliance owes a debt to the OICR, the Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute, and reaching out to its colleagues on the Hingston campus, and the Broad Institute. And this organization would not have advanced as quickly as it without the backbone that those organizations provided. We are now reaching out to international funders to create that core stability, and we're almost there. But at the same time, we're reaching out beyond that initial core of international funders looking at private philanthropy and broader funding. And the message to them, and I put there the heads of international research organizations, my message to them and other members of the steering committee is that we don't need a lot more money for the core. We need to have that sustainable core. But it's the references, it's the implementations, it's the pilot projects, and it is the data sharing projects where the heavy lifting and the money will be needed from a funding mechanism. And if we're going to make real progress, we need to engage funders in that process of the implementation. So the update as of today, and there's probably 2 more came in while we were sitting here, is 325 members from 32 countries. And in terms of a progress report from San Diego, which was about 9 months ago, at that point it was 141 members from 23 countries. And these are organizational members, but perhaps the more interesting thing on this slide, rather than the raw number, is the distribution. And you'll see that almost 40% of our members today are companies, whether they be life science or IT companies. And the second largest group is, as it was from the beginning, universities and research institutes. So we have a good breadth. We've got these 6 sectors represented. But as you see, we need more engagement from patient groups. We need more engagement from clinical. And so that shift from research has gone very well on the company side. We need to engage sectors more actively. Those are the countries. You'll see the Anglo thing where we got Australia, Canada, US, Australia, with very high representation and often across all sectors. But you also see double-digit numbers now occurring in China, in Japan, and in Spain. And so the question, we got a real opportunity here, because once you start to get double-digit numbers, you typically have a cross-section of members, and things can start to happen locally. The other thing we did when we started the organization back in September is introduce the category of individual members. And that they now number, this slide will be out of date, but over 368 individual members are registered with the Alliance, and they add another 21 countries that are not covered on the previous slide. So in total, 53 countries, and it may be one person from Nepal, but it's one person from Nepal. And so this sense of individual engagement as well as organizational importance really stretches our global reach. Organizational structure, you've seen it before. We're not an incorporated entity. We're hosted in 3 different locations. We have working groups, we have demonstration projects. Between them, at the latest count was 789 individuals are engaged as active contributors. If I put on who's registered as being interested and would like to be part of our communication systems, it jumps to around 2,000 individuals, but 789 active collaborators. So we now have 7.5 professional staff. There's no half person. It's 7.5 FTEs. It's spread over probably 10 individuals, but 7.5 FTEs. And they support and enable 789 volunteer collaborations. So knowing how often leverage comes into research granting, that to me is very significant leverage. Just a quick reminder of how we work. The 4 working groups identify needs, they prioritize needs, they create task teams. Those task teams develop tools and solutions. Those tools and solutions go into implementations, pilot projects, demonstration projects, and from those, the products are improved and solutions are enhanced, which creates more needs and the cycle starts all over again. That's a virtuous cycle as long as we don't stretch too far and end up not doing the right things. So at the top of that, the role of the working groups in always setting priorities is key. Collectively, that's produced 23 task teams. You'll see the work displayed on the boards outside. I'm not going to go through all of those, but it's a significant, and this is the point of impact. This is where those volunteers really put in their work. I will highlight from the beginning, Stephen Keenan developed a GA4GH developer site. It's the heavy engine, the lifting part of the data working group, and there is now a new data working group website, and so the older graphic you saw before has been replaced by this, but even better content. And I will just pick up on this, and I don't know where Bartha is in the room, but from the very beginning, Bartha stressed international representation, international diversity in the creation, not just in the dissemination. So the Regulatory and Ethics Working Group and the development of the framework was internationally based as much as she could possibly drive, and she had the contacts to do it. By now, it's actually going to be by the end of the month, it will be in 10 different languages. And the translation from English into the other 9 has been driven all on a volunteer basis by the people who helped create it, found the resources to create the translation and verify it. This is the outreach we've done since the last meeting in San Diego. It's much, much better when somebody says, or for us, it's a great engagement when somebody says, come to us, our meeting, tell us what you're doing, listen to what we have to tell you. And that's the little list of places I and others have been in the last 9 months to go and listen on people's terms to what's happening. And I can tell you that slide that Ewan had, where you have research and medicine. Everywhere I go, there's that sense that research, particularly genomic research, has a proud history of international collaboration, and it can be even greater. On healthcare delivery, it's incredibly national, often state, and that application is going to have to be done country by country. Creating the knowledge that it can be done quicker and better is something we can do together. We're going to have to work at an individual country level to drive change in healthcare. So, just 2015 and beyond, if there's anything I've learned in this last 2 years, is that individuals are key to creating everything. All that work that's been done has been done by individuals. Moving forward, organizations and funders and journals are going to be key to ensuring the dissemination and the adoption. So this thing will not happen. We won't get the uptake by great creative individuals. It will be by serious organizations adopting and adapting. And we need to fully engage with individuals and organizations in all continents if we're going to be truly global. Thank you.
Right, so we now do have time for questions. 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes questions on this or anything else that's in your minds. Those minds are not as...
Yeah, but
this,
okay, so I trimmed, in order to be short and concise, I trimmed the slide that shows you how to be a member. On our website, there's both, you go to the members page, how to become a member, and there you're making the decision either to be an individual member or an organizational member. And I would say even if you are part of an organization that's a large, complex organization, I'd still encourage people to join as an individual because that creates a direct communication link between us and the individuals. And so many of the 368 actually work within existing organizational members. If you're not in an organization, that's even more critical because that's the only link we have with you. So it's all web-based. And I would encourage you all to do it if you haven't already.
We're done.
Thank you.
More time for coffee. Peter, thank you. That was very precise. Thank you for keeping to time. So we now get...